The crypto market right now is really in an interesting phase where you see like most of the big coins are in red and XRP is still slowly standing up. And for the weekly, we see Ether's like a percentage up and XRP is like 9.3. So compared to that, Bitcoin is like 3%. So what is important here is we are nearing to that November point where we are all looking for ISO 20022 to enroll. And on the side of SEC, how things are evolving really looks, so interesting and frustrating for SEC because these are kind of, that pointed arrow, which is going to be like the nails on the coffins because the way it is evolving, it really weighs more for Ripple. Now, when we look at things in terms of the fundamentals, this is from Voluntary Technologies where they kind of highlight like Bank of England's showcasing the ISO 20022 as a game changer for the financial system. And what is really important here is that they give us that narrative that playing an integral part in upgrading their hard payment infrastructure. So they were on Swift. Most of the cross-border payments are going through that, then the pre-funded accounts. But now something is changing, and that's not a soft change. They themselves highlighted like it's going to be a hard change. We need to see what it will be. Then Michael actually gives this one like Ripple listed NCB's most promising fintech companies. Now they are already working with a lot of different central banks, corporations, big banks, everything. And then this one comes out at a time when central banks are trying to upgrade their system. So we get a lot of clue of what is happening. And then we see like Swift is trying to, gather more momentum. They already have a lot of banks, but it's for a messaging platform. They need to make major change to enter into the CBDC era, which really is going to be the interoperability one and then the settlement. Then here in this particular period, it's like again, XRP Ledger and how it is considered as one of the best, right? A native digital asset is an intrinsic part of the blockchain software. They highlight like Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, XRP, Ether, Litecoin, and all. And then you compare all of these for payments. And you're like, no, there is no way you can use others when, people would say like, okay, that's going to be useful. But when you try using, say, Lightning Network for that matter, you kind of end up like, okay, this is not the right thing to do, right? So this is the next one where UN was the first one who kind of, requested or kind of advocated the Fed you shouldn't be hiking more. Then now the IMF is coming out and saying the same, like the Fed need to be acting more responsibly because the world is now not a good place. One, and US dollar is the reserve currency as of now. So that's one of the reasons why you see other countries move out. So what's interesting for the price? We are breaking higher in XRP when others are slow, and that's three soldiers we call bullish soldiers. Look at the RSI, it's breaking higher on a daily. MACD crossed lower 2 days back, but right now we are going back up to cross. That's actually bullish as you get in this market conditions. And in such a market, getting the most is the best choice. But you can look at different assets and say like, I'm interested in this one or I'm interested in that one, but that's not what it is. It's the fundamentals and then technicals aligning together just like XRP is showing us. This is the scientific investor family, where the normal common retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of the world. So as we look at the market, there are confusing information. Price action is up, down, volatile, all those stuff is coming in. But we really want that to happen because as you see, the market is volatile. Bitcoin is still holding on to the $20,000 mark. And if we go zoomed in, ultra zoomed in on a hourly chart, this is what we actually see. The price actually did drop, but then it managed to actually climb back up because it kind of happens to be like, okay, retest of this level. If you remember, we have seen something here in XRP. So right now I'm like, okay, maybe Bitcoin is following XRP. Maybe that's a too extreme, but it does feel like that is happening because in the market, we do see these fundamental scenarios evolving where on the other side, it's not really great for the entire crypto ecosystem, because if they are going to go against the privacy preserving technologies, if they are actually going to tackle this in a way like, okay, you will have to get all the informations, and I'm like, people will then more likely go store their own crypto, right? You can use a decentralized exchange to move your crypto. You can store that crypto in your private wallet. You don't actually need an exchange to hold this for you, because when they do, now the issue is, if you don't want to disclose who you are, what you have, that kind of issue actually comes back, because decentralization was the biggest step for this technology. And we are at a place where we have bad actors like this. If you actually have listened to this one completely, I'll recommend take 1 minute and listen to this. If you have XRP, it would be really worth listening to at least first 30 seconds of this video. This is huge. For me, I would actually consider like, this really happened, and the SEC is closing their eyes on this one. And instead, what they are really doing is they are trying to run behind Ripple, the company which is getting massive attention, and they're trying to screw them. Why? Because these guys really want to get the attention. And here in this particular area of the video, clearly, these two guys, say Vitalik and Joe, or the elbow guy, kind of gives you that idea like, it's not scalable, but we are going to release it. And then we are going to work on the real stuff, so that we'll make money here. We'll cut your throats, we'll make money, and then we will move on to the other one. That for me is like, okay, the entire crypto ecosystem is now depending on this particular stuff, which was not the actual layer of work. It was just a drama where they wanted to collect more money and then work on something better. Now, that's not something everyone would like, but that's the reality. Now, we come on to look at the price action, and what we are observing here is a breakout on a daily, which is interesting to see, because it's not only that, when you zoom out on a weekly, you need to actually keep in mind XRP is one of that few assets inside the market right now which broke higher on a macro. You were trending lower for a long time, but right now something changed. And always remember, RSI is something which actually gives you an idea. Say, as we were discussing through a one-on-one session, say if this is for XRP, which I'm giving you, right? Say here, you actually look at this. XRP was slow and it was under this level of resistance. But the RSI gave you an idea that I'm trying to break higher, I'm going to break higher. You got that narrative here. And within 3 months, you actually see the price trending, breaking higher, going all the way up. In between, you had the SEC issue slowing this one down. But now if you look at this, you already broke higher last month. So it's like already a month passed away. And if the same repeats without that SEC new one coming in, we already have that. The market already digested that. And right now it's more towards the positive side where Ripple is winning, right? So the narrative is changing. And at the time when you see the price breaking higher from here, going to $1 or just about that, FOMO is going to kick in a different way. Now, remember when we were here, that's like, early August or go back to like June, July, we were talking about this. We are going to bottom out here. Then we are going to come back to test this level of 0.5. Not everyone would agree, but we did talk about that and the price did come like that. Now, when we actually go that far back and look at things, you'll get understanding like, okay, this is like a long perspective you're talking about. We are looking at the price action saying, okay, there is something happening. But what happens in the market is like you anticipated to do in 2 weeks, 2 months. It takes 4 months. Sometimes it takes 1 week. So that's the surprise which the market actually is. Because remember, market means hundreds or thousands of people are trading, investing, and algorithms are interfering with this. So to make money, you need to actually have that level of patience and to be in the right asset. So now if you're looking at the XRP, let's actually zoom in on a 4-hour chart to see like what exactly is happening. We now know that we are trading inside one range. It's fine. Then we are also clear that this is first high. This is the second high, which is actually lower high. But then what happens is the price decides to break higher. So now what we are literally, if it's me, I'm waiting for the price to actually go do this 38-39%, which would be somewhere close to 0.65. So when the price hits that range of 0.65, we can then give a consideration like, okay, here the RSI is suggesting you a double bottom and the price broke higher, which may actually give us more momentum in the market. When the general assets, the big assets like Ether is slow, it hasn't done much recently, and XRP is still holding on. So you go to the return rates again to see like on a yearly basis what really is happening, right? Ether and Bitcoin is like 63-62% down, where XRP is 54. Now I'm not saying that's a huge difference, but it is a difference. At a time when they were in green and XRP was in red, it just took 30 days to change the entire scenario. We did 50% up in 1 month. And if you go back to the price action and look at whenever we are gathering momentum, remember this, whenever you are just starting to go back up, it is usually a really slow and steady gain. Then you correct down and then the momentum increases. Now, for this one, it is really going to be, clear here. You can actually see like you took like 50 days to run up there. And then after that, for your next big move compared to that, it was half that time, right? So this is really important to actually give that attention, because in that half time, you actually reach 80-90%. That was a significant run. Now, in the next one after that, if you are looking at the number of days it actually took to reach the top, it was 10 days. So you can see a trend happening with XRP. The first one is usually slow. The next one, the momentum is high. It's faster. So what we are observing here, if you measure this, the first leg here is just 8 days. So the next one, when it starts, it can be shorter than that. Now, if you consider this as the higher low, you'll be monitoring it from here, which is 25 days. Then you are looking for like 12 days. It's not a huge difference. It's like, when we are going to break through this level of 0.5, it's just 1 month where you are actually going to run to another level and hit that resistance. Mostly, we are going to touch the previous all-time high soon enough, because only a few assets inside this market, understand this clearly, only few are breaking higher, retesting or bouncing. Some are close to a breakout. We are observing those in the Patreon. We are discussing through that, watching and monitoring them. Those who are getting rejected is a hard area to be in. Now, if you are a long-term investor for that particular asset, it's okay. What you are looking at is the next level of support to buy in. But if not, what you really want to be in next 3 to 6 months in the market, maybe most likely it would be 3 to 3.5 months, is assets which are trending higher, assets which are breaking through resistance, holding on to the newly found supports. XRP is one of them, which is strong, which is against BTC pair, USD pair, Ether, Euro, Won, whatever you take, it is acting like that. Now, you can literally go look at like, highly correlated assets like say IOTA, XLM and others to see what they are doing. Right now, they are not actually doing much in terms of, the price action. Now, we have wave scenario, there are a lot of different stuff. But right now, when we look at this, it really shows you it is range bound. It did not actually move much higher. It is still trying to make a trend. Fine. But that's where XRP stands out right now as the fundamentals slowly get better. The case is what I meant by fundamentals, because that's what actually slowed you down in the first place. So right now, when the case is growing to that end where the chances are Ripple is going to win, your short-term scenarios now becomes really wild. Because you are looking at a fluctuation here, which is something similar to this. So the next leg can literally go towards 0.7. If that resistance break, you are now going to look at even higher price. So that would mostly be measurable from the XRP dominance and the way it actually breaks. So when I'm looking at this, I'm asking that question to myself like, okay, you actually did this correction, and do you really get a narrative or price fluctuation? Like there is something evolving like this. There is momentum rebuilding into this asset, because the way you plot the resistance will be like this. So you can delete all this, just look at the resistance and try and cover all those. It kind of really feels like you are breaking through. Now, yes, it's a 4-hour chart, so it is volatile and noisy. So what's interesting to find on a 12-hour is that you are making a double bottom, you're bouncing back up, you're breaking higher. Now you again zoom back out to a daily chart where you literally want to see what the trend is. And the trend is usually your friend, and it is suggesting you we are slowly grinding back up. But to the RSI, you have a little bit more room. So you may step a little bit down and then go up, which means the dominance can stay here. You have two different possibilities. The price itself slows down before it actually ride next wave, or you will see other big cap coins like maybe Cardano, maybe BNB and others running, right? So you go look at various coins and take that perspective narrative to yourself. Say, for example, we look at Binance coin here. Say on a daily, this is what you are looking at. It is giving you an indication there is a possible rounded bottom coming in with this one. So on a macro, there is something changing, right? Then it's not only these assets, right? Inside this market, you have a lot of assets, so don't get confused with the price action. Because what you really want to make sure is if your portfolio is heavily reliant on 3 or 4 assets, you need to make sure they are working fine. At least they are starting to trend high. Because if you are going to average down on something or buy more, I would suggest in this economical conditions, next week you are going to see next CPI numbers. If it's lower, that's good. The market gets more momentum, and by that time, if XRP is already at $1, that's great. If not, that will actually push the market. But if we are already at $1 or $1.60 and then the inflation comes higher than expected, or somewhere close to last month, then it's like, no, the inflation is not peaking, it's staying there, maybe it can go higher. That fear will come. So automatically November 2nd, when the Fed is going to come back and hike, they may do something worst, maybe 75 to 100 basis points. Because right now, the consensus, if you are looking at the FOMC kind of thought process here from the CME tools, it is showing you like, okay, 67% is going for 75 to 100 basis points. And I'm like, that's bad. The economy cannot actually take it. Look at the housing market, look at anything else, it's getting screwed. So the 30% here suggests that, okay, it can be 50 to 75. So no one is actually going towards 25 to 50 at this point. So they are really looking for the higher end. So we really want to actually see the CPI numbers come in lower than expected. So what we are going to look at here is the September CPI coming on 13th October. It's early in the morning. So if you are here in this time zone, be aware that something is cooking on that particular day, because the market is going to price in. Right now, the market has already priced in the 75 to 100 basis point. And if the CPI happens to be lower than expected, they will price in the other one. So you will definitely see a price action which is going higher. And if that happens to be something like, the drop from 9.1 to 8.5, then we drop to 8.3. So if we get the first drop here from 8.3 towards 7.8, that again is going to give an additional advantage for the market, saying, okay, maybe we have a scenario where it's 25 to 50 basis point. Because now the IMF, UN, everyone is talking about Fed and what they are doing. So this is another macro scenario which can add more momentum to the market. So never forget what eventually pushes the price up is one macro and then the micro scenario. So the micro scenario, say for XRP, as an asset, is the volume is still holding way higher than we were used to. And right now you see like, okay, different exchanges, different volumes, everything is evolving. Yesterday when we talked about this, there was another exchange, BNX or something, where majority of volume were coming through. So maybe that's wash trading, maybe that's something else, maybe that's a stress test, who knows. But right now, Binance has the most volume, and that comes from a lot of different currency pairs like euro, pound, ruble, you name it, and all of these are flowing into XRP. Now it won't just be XRP, it will be a lot of different currencies. That's why I talk about different assets inside the Patreon. And if you want to have a look at that because your portfolio has 4, 5, 10, 20 assets, then you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So guys, now as we evolve in this market, you do have to understand the entire market. So what we are looking at is the altcoin dominance, and hourly chart never makes sense for that. It's always better to be on a macro. Say you can literally use a weekly chart. So it's a lot more clear here. Now there is noise, but compared to a hourly, this is much better. You're seeing that the price is coming down and it's going back up. What's happening? in my opinion, I personally think like large cap coins like these are actually holding, right? All of these are holding. Xrp, XLM, you name these, right? Polygon, Maker. And you see a lot of coins which are getting hit. Now, this is not a big hit. It's just, under 10%. But when you go on to the small cap coins, you actually see some of them are getting even harder. 10, 20, 30% down. So when they drop, the money is moving into different areas. And that's where the XRP dominance kind of stands out. For me, when I look at this and talk about this, I'm so clear for me that this was happening from a long period of time. Right now, we broke above this lane and we are holding on to that particular resistance. So if you are to actually put this in perspective, you can actually argue that we already broke this one higher. We are retesting this level. We are bouncing. Now, if you are looking just from the 2018 peaks, then you are looking for something like this. Even at that point, you broke this one with a lot of momentum and you are now riding that wave to the upside. You will have intermediate corrections and bounces. That's what gives you opportunity to gather more units if you really want to buy in mode. And then you try to connect all these stops and the dominance is like we are above that. Short term, it comes here. So you broke that way before. On a weekly, staying this bullish is so great for XRP as an asset because you can zoom in on a daily, 3-day, whatever, and you feel like this is a bull flag. And if this is a bull flag and this is going to break another leg higher, you are going to see a lot more money flowing into XRP. And that's what we are already waiting for, right? We've been waiting for a long time. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you received value from this channel. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.